Welcome to the Menga podcast, your ultimate dose of vulnerability. Imagine you're working late one night, trying to print out an important document, and all of a sudden your computer just freezes. So you restart it.
Right.
And everything seems fine, right?
Right.
But what you don't realize is that a hacker is now inside your system.
Oh.
And it's all thanks to your printer.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
This isn't like some sci-fi movie, though.
Right.
This is a real vulnerability. And it was discovered in CUPS. You know, that thing that lets you print on, most Linux and Unix systems.
Right, yeah.
It's crazy.
It is a pretty wild story.
Yeah.
It really highlights how, even the most mundane tasks, like printing, can have, hidden security risks.
Totally. So, okay, let's break this down a little bit.
Right.
We're talking about CUPS, the Calling Unix printing system.
Yep.
Most people probably don't even think about it.
Right.
It just kind of works in the background. So, what's the big deal? What's going on here?
Well, CUPS is kind of the heart of printing on these systems. It handles everything from finding printers on your network to processing the actual print jobs that you send.
Okay.
And as with any complex software, it can have vulnerabilities.
And in this case, the vulnerability was pretty serious, right?
Absolutely, yeah. It was discovered in September 2024 by a security researcher named Simone Margaritelli. He goes by at EvilSocket online, which is pretty fitting given what he found.
Right.
Basically, there was this component of CUPS called cupsbrowse.
Cupsbrowse.
Yeah.
Okay.
And it was designed to automatically find and add printers to your system.
Okay, so it's convenient.
Sounds convenient, right?
Yeah, totally. I hate having to manually add printers.
Right, but the problem is that cupsbrowse was a little too trusting. It was listening for printer announcements on all network interfaces.
All network interfaces. So
including the public internet.
Wait, seriously?
Yeah.
My computer could be tricked by some, random person on the internet pretending to be a printer.
All an attacker had to do was send a specially crafted packet to your computer on UDP port 631, which is the standard port for printing.
Okay, and then what? What happens when my computer, falls for this trick?
Well, cupsbrowsed would blindly connect to the attacker's server, thinking it's getting details about this new printer.
Okay.
And here's where things get really interesting.
Right.
The attacker could then send back malicious code, disguised as printer instructions, in a file called a PPD file.
A PPD file?
Yeah.
What is that again? I can't remember.
Sure, yeah. A PPD file is basically a driver for your printer.
Okay.
It tells the computer how to use the printer, what kind of paper it takes, what resolutions it can print at, all that stuff.
So the attacker is sneaking bad code into the driver.
Yeah.
For this, fake printer.
Exactly.
Okay. What kind of bad code are we talking about here?
Anything the attacker wants.
Seriously?
Yeah. They could potentially gain access to your files.
Oh, wow.
Install malware.
Oh, geez.
Even take control of your entire system.
So it's they're setting a trap. All they have to do is wait for someone to print something to this fake printer.
Right.
And then, boom.
Exactly. And the worst part is that a lot of Linux distributions had cupsbrowsed enabled by default.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So a lot of people were vulnerable right out of the box. This whole thing sounds like a house of cards. One little mistake and everything comes crashing down.
That's a great analogy, yeah. And to make matters worse,
there's
another piece to this puzzle that made the situation even more precarious.
Oh, no.
Yeah. There was another component in CUPS called foomatic-rip.
Foomatic-rip?
Yeah.
What is that?
It's a CUPS filter that's responsible for handling various print formats. But it has a long and troubled history of vulnerabilities.
Oh, great. So this foomatic-rip thing, was it vulnerable because of the same cupsbrowsed issue?
Not exactly.
Okay.
It had its own set of problems.
What do you mean?
Specifically, there was this directive called foomatic-rip command line that let PPD files execute commands.
Wait, so even if they didn't exploit cupsbrowsed, an attacker could still potentially execute commands through this foomatic-rip command line thing?
You got it.
Wow.
And the crazy thing is, this issue has been known about since 2011.
2011? Are you serious?
Yes.
That's over a decade.
That's where things get even more interesting.
Oh, boy.
Apparently, fixing it would have broken compatibility, with a ton of older printers.
Hold on. So they knew about this security flaw
right.
for over 10 years.
Yeah.
It didn't fix it because it might inconvenience people with ancient printers.
It highlights the challenge of balancing security with legacy support. Yeah. Sometimes developers have to make tough decisions about whether to prioritize security or compatibility.
I guess. It's mind-boggling to think that some people were literally running Perl scripts with every print job because of this.
Right.
Talk about a security nightmare.
It definitely adds a whole new layer of, did they really do that?
Yeah.
To this story.
And speaking of, did they really do that?
Uh-huh.
Let's talk about what happened when Simone Margaritelli tried to report these vulnerabilities.
Yes, the responsible disclosure process.
Yeah.
It's not always as smooth as you might hope.
What happened? Did he just send an email to the developers? And they fixed everything right away?
Not quite.
What happened?
He spent 2 days researching and crafting a working exploit to demonstrate the vulnerability.
Okay.
Then he spent another 22 days battling to get people to take him seriously.
Whoa, 22 days. So even after finding these critical flaws, he had to fight just to be heard.
It unfortunately happens more often than you'd think.
Really?
Yeah, there can be a lot of back and forth disagreements about the severity of the issue.
Okay.
Delays in getting things patched.
So it's not always straightforward.
No. In Margaritelli's case, he even faced gaslighting and accusations from the community.
Wow. That's crazy.
Yeah.
So even after doing the right thing and responsibly disclosing these vulnerabilities, he got punished for it.
It's a reminder that the human element plays a big role in security.
Okay.
It's not just about the technical details. It's also about communication, trust, and recognizing that everyone makes mistakes.
That's a good point. It's a good thing he persevered, though, right?
Oh, absolutely.
Because if these vulnerabilities hadn't been fixed, a lot of people would have been at risk.
Absolutely. This wasn't some obscure bug affecting a handful of users. We're talking about most Linux distributions, BSDs, even Chrome OS.
Oh, wow.
A lot of these systems had cups browsed enabled by default, making them vulnerable straight out of the box.
Yikes. So what can people do to protect themselves? Should we all just unplug our printers and go back to the Stone Age?
Well, it's not quite that drastic.
Okay.
But there are some simple steps you can take to mitigate the risk.
Okay, so what can our listeners actually do to protect themselves from this kind of vulnerability?
Well, the most important thing is to disable cups browsed if you don't absolutely need it.
So how do I know?
Yeah.
If I need it? I'll admit, I have no idea what's running on my system half the time.
It's a fair point. Most people don't need to worry about the inner workings of their printing system. But in this case, it's worth checking.
Okay.
Cups Browsed is primarily a client-side service.
Okay.
It's responsible for finding and adding printers to your computer.
Yeah.
If you typically print to a known printer that's already set up on your network, you likely don't need Cups Browsed running.
So, if I just print to my one printer at home, I can probably disable it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You'll still be able to print to printers that you've manually configured.
All right.
It just prevents your computer from blindly connecting to anything that claims to be a printer on the network.
Got it. Disable Cups Browsed if you don't need it.
Exactly.
What else?
Keeping your CUPS packages up to date is essential.
Okay.
Software updates often include security patches.
Right.
And that's how most of these vulnerabilities get fixed.
So, basic cyber hygiene.
Yeah.
The stuff that everyone always says to do, but no one actually does update your software.
Exactly. It's true. Those updates can be annoying.
I know.
But they really are important.
Okay.
And in this case, they could be the difference between a secure system and a compromised one.
Yeah, this whole Cups Browse thing is a little bit scary.
Yeah.
It makes you realize how many things are running in the background that we just take for granted.
It's a good reminder that convenience often comes at the cost of security. We want things to be easy and seamless.
Right.
But sometimes that means cutting corners and introducing vulnerabilities.
So what's the takeaway here? Should we all be paranoid about our printers now?
Not necessarily paranoid, but aware.
Okay.
This CUPS vulnerability is a good case study in how seemingly harmless features can have serious security implications.
Okay.
It's a reminder to be mindful of what we connect to our networks, and to keep our software updated.
And to appreciate the work of security researchers.
Oh, absolutely.
Like Simone Margaritelli, who put in the time and the effort to find and report these vulnerabilities.
They play a vital role in making our digital world a safer place.
For sure. Well, this has been a fascinating deep dive.
It has.
Any final thoughts before we wrap things up?
Just a reminder that security is a journey, not a destination.
Right.
It's a constant process of learning, adapting, and evolving as new threats emerge.
Remember, everyone, security is a journey, not a destination. Stay curious out there and stay safe.